Hi everyone, welcome back to the Evermore YouTube channel. It's Chris back with my rant stroke thought of the day, and is the morning after the night before Newcastle going out in the Carabao Cup to a really mediocre Chelsea side, it must be said. It's disappointing. I think a lot of people are still disappointed waking up this morning and the news we're out of another cup competition, obviously off the back of the Champions League exit as well. The season is becoming a little bit, what's the word, maybe not concerning, but disappointing probably. Something that promised so much, and to have disappointment back to back. We're not used to this in the last kind of 2 years as Newcastle fans, so it's brought out a lot of reactions and feelings and emotions in people maybe that weren't there before, and also some ridiculous behaviour as well. But I'm going to get stuck right into this, and my thought of the day really is all about the main talking point. There's no getting away from it, which is Kieran Trippier. Now, just before I get into this, I want to make it abundantly clear that I think Kieran Trippier is a fantastic footballer, a great leader, and seems to be a brilliant human being as well, before I get into any kind of conversations about what's going on with him at the minute. But Kieran made obviously a high profile error last night which allowed Chelsea to get back into the game and take it to pens, and then he then subsequently missed his penalty in the shootout as well, which can happen to any player. Massive players over the years have missed penalties in shootouts and competitions, international and domestic, and it happens. But I think the problem is with Kieran at the minute, these problems seem to be becoming a bit more reoccurring than they ever were before. I mean, you could put your mortgage on Kieran Trippier being the man to rely on, and in the big moments, and to maybe not make those errors, and to pull everybody together to see the game out. But he just doesn't look right at the minute. Something's not quite right with him. Whether it's physical fatigue or it's mental fatigue. I think it's probably more likely the latter, to be honest with you. But this all seems to have happened after Kieran withdrew from the England squad for personal reasons. Now, nobody really knows what those personal reasons are because they weren't disclosed. That's why they're personal reasons. It's none of your fucking business, really, is it, to be honest with you? But there was rumours doing the rounds and everything else, and I think, as a family man as well, myself, and a lot of you guys will have families watching this, and if it is something to do with his family, there's no doubt it will be playing on his mind. There's no doubt about that at all. You can be the most professional, accomplished leader of the group, and I think Kieran Trippier is that in the Newcastle squad, and it can affect you. There's no doubt about it. If there's something going on back home that's distracting your mindset and stuff like that, you are going to lose a bit of focus in your game. And I think the problem that we have with Kieran Trippier is that the standards that he set are so high that even a slight tail off in those standards, the microscope's out now. Again, this whole thing, Twitter, X as it's called these days, it's always Twitter to me, really. I just hope the old Twitter guys go and start a new Twitter site and go over there. Maybe it won't be as toxic, but there's obviously criticism for Kieran on social media, and listen, that is every fan's right to criticise a player. No player is exempt from criticism. This kind of holier than thou shalt not criticise Kieran Trippier mentality is bollocks, to be honest with you. It's naive as fuck as well, as a football fan, to think that any footballer in that arena isn't going to be open to criticism if they make a high profile error, whether it's a striker missing a chance, a defender making a gaffe, or a keeper dropping one into the bottom corner. These players know on that platform, on that stage, that rightly or wrongly, that they are going to be subject to criticism. Now, there's a difference between criticism and downright abuse. Don't tag the lad in posts. Don't make it personal. Don't talk about, he's fucking betting on games and all this other bullshit that I've seen doing the rounds. If it's banter, it's bad banter, but don't make it more serious than just, shit crack on social media. But everybody quite rightly so has pointed out how much the club is supporting Trippier. Callum Wilson spoke so eloquently after the game. Eddie Howe has as well. And Kieran will come back from this, but there's also two things at play here. So one is that Kieran Trippier is a fantastic footballer, and nobody related to Newcastle United, be it manager, player, supporter, should forget that. He's been phenomenal for this football club, and he will be phenomenal again for this football club. But then the other side is also true, that Kieran Trippier himself will know, the game that he's played all of his life since he was a young lad, that you are open for criticism, and it is a football fan's right to criticise you. Football is one of the most ficklest things in the world. It really is. You're either world class or dog shite in an instant, in a moment, and that's what happens in football. And when these lads get into this game and they spend their whole careers getting to the pinnacle, they know the price on the ticket. That is the price on the ticket. So, if these people want to feel great about themselves by saying thou shalt not criticise Trippier, then fair enough. You'll go to sleep easy with a smile on your face and a little halo over your head. But in the real world, if you take the blue pill or the red pill, whichever fucking pill was in the Matrix, in the real world, Kieran Trippier will go to bed knowing that fans will criticise him, not just fans of Newcastle, fans of all football arenas, and he'll be able to quantify that. Whatever's going on with him personally is more of the issue, I think. And I really hope that the club give him that support that he needs. I mean, there is a psychologist in the club now as well, which I think will help massively if it is a mental issue that Trippier has at the moment. But looking at the physical element as well, I was just looking at his stats there before. So between England and Newcastle, Premier League, Internationals, Champions League, Cups, Kieran Trippier has played 33 times already this season. And at 33 years old, that starts to catch up on you as well. So as much as it could be a mental issue, I think physical fatigue is definitely playing a factor in his sharpness and in his focus. If you remember back when Shearer was kind of this age or even just a bit younger, he jacked in England. And his reason for jacking in England, he said, was to concentrate on Newcastle because he wanted 2 or 3 more years at the top level. Now, Kieran will want to go away with England in the summer. There's no doubt about that, and he deserves to go there in the summer. But for me, if I was advising Kieran Trippier, I would say make this your last tournament with England if you want to have another couple of seasons at the top level, playing, top 6 Premier League football, Champions League football, that kind of a thing. You can't do both. And I think, Kieran maybe has to come to that realisation as well, and he probably will because he seems to be a really switched on lad. But going back to the bread and butter and the brass tacks really is no matter how good of a player Kieran Trippier is, no matter how good of a player any player is, when they're making errors in the squad that are costing games, you have to look at that position in the team, and that's something Eddie Howe is going to have to weigh up, and he's going to have to make a big decision on this. Now, in the fullback area, we've got injuries everywhere, but in the fullback area, we are blessed with a little bit of cover. You've got Tino Livramento's doing a phenomenal job at left back. I thought he was great again against Chelsea. You could easily move Tino over to the right, Dan Burn over to the left, and give Trippier another couple of games rest to try and turn himself round if he can for whatever's going on. Lewis Hall again remains in the wilderness. That is a weird one. I think there's a growing desire from not just journalists but fans to ask what in the fuck is going on with this player. When you look at that game against Chelsea when he was given special dispensation to play, and then Eddie Howe brings on 46-year-old Matt Ritchie over the kid, I don't get it. If the kid isn't good enough and he's not in your plans, then send him back to Chelsea and let's be fucking done with it and go and get another player in January. If the kid is going to be good enough to be in your plans, give him some game time. Certainly over Matt Ritchie, that guy is washed and finished. This isn't a video about Matt Ritchie, but I'm just making that point clear. But then going back to the full-back position, we've got Luton and Forest coming up, and with all due respect, I think they're both winnable games for Newcastle. You could shuffle the pack a little bit. Luton have done really well against big teams, so they're not going to be any mugs, but I don't think there's any reason to play Kieran Trippier in any of these games. I think he needs a much longer rest than he's obviously been given, and I really hope that he gets that rest and he will come back and be the player that we all know he is. I support Kieran Trippier. Everyone supports Kieran Trippier in Newcastle. People lost their shit last night, vented on social media and all that stuff, and you've got a right to do that, but don't start tearing each other down for it. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, if someone's pissed off the Trippier's mistake has cost the game, it's their God-given right to vent about it. Social media is basically just a cyber version of a boozer. When you're in a boozer, somebody's talking shit in a corner, you just ignore it and you drink your pint. But when it comes to social media, people feel the need to ride over the hill in these white steeds of righteousness and give them a load of shit. If they're not happy with it, they're not happy with it. If you're happy with it or resigned to it and you want to support Kieran Trippier, that's fine. Tweet or post or whatever you support for Kieran Trippier, but don't start attacking other people for it and quoting their tweets and trying to cause a pile on all that, because that shit's just wrong, and it's not going to solve any real issue, really. It's just going to make that person feel like shit. You'll probably be made out to be a dick because people will quote your tweet and everything else. And it's just not worth it. At the end of the day, we're only Newcastle United fans here. We want what's best for the club. We're going through a tough moment, which we're not used to right now. And we're going to have to just learn to deal with it and try and get through it. But in terms of Kieran Trippier, I back Kieran Trippier to come back from this. I really, really do. But I think it's pretty clear now that he needs an extended break out of the team to deal with whatever's going on, be it physical or mental fatigue. And I really hope Eddie Howe makes that big decision. Burns there, Livramento's there, Hall is still there, Dummett's even there to fill in at full back. Kraft, hopefully that gash in his leg won't be too bad, which was a disgusting tackle again, by the way. The ref bottled that massively. He should have had 2 red cards in that game, but hopefully Kraft will be back as well, so we will have some depth in that full back position. January can't come soon enough for me in terms of adding bodies in key areas like midfield and up front. Isak missing's a huge worry as well. We'll move to a separate video on that, but hopefully in January we're going to add at least 3 or 4 top quality players into this squad to help us push for that top 4, because we need something good from this season. know, it's been disappointing the last few months. Let's get back and support the lads. Away are the lads. I'm sure they can do it. That's my thought of the day done there, guys. Let us know what you think in the comments below. We always like to hear from you. As I say, whether you're pissed off at Trippier or you want to put your arms around him, both of those opinions are absolutely fine. You know, as a football fan, nobody can tell you how to feel as a football fan. It's your right. It's your truth. You feel the way you do. Just don't abuse the player and don't abuse each other. You know, that's just my kind of take on the whole thing. But if you put a response and we'll always try and reply to you. If you like this kind of thing, like and subscribe as well. We're over 6,000 subs, which is amazing for Christmas. 7,000 is the next goal. So smash that button, guys, and help get us there. Have a great Christmas. If you're watching this just before the Batman comes up, have a brilliant time with your families. And we'll be back with a lot more content over the next few days in the lead up to that. See you later, everyone. Cheers. Bye.